Hey everybody, my party finished the Call of the Netherdeep, and we're going to talk about the finale. So let's dig in. Welcome back everyone. Let's talk about what went well. The fight with Elixion was incredibly awesome. My party really got into the role-playing aspect of it. It wasn't just another knockdown, drag-out fight. There was lots of back and forth banter, and I feel like the fight went really, really well. What could be better? In Elixion's third form, it kind of felt a little bit odd to continue fighting after my party had spent so much time and energy trying to convince Elixion to stop fighting and that he was worth redeeming. I'm not sure exactly how to go about that because at this point in the fight, I don't know what else to do. Also in his third form, he doesn't do a ton of damage, so maybe it works out okay, but it felt a little weird for me. So let's talk about what actually happened. We picked up from where we left off last time in stage 2. His first form has just been defeated, transformed from the giant nasty slug into this angelic form who's kind of pompous and arrogant. And to start things off, my group was kind of clustered around the slug. So Elixion, when it was his turn, flew up, took the attacks of opportunity from everybody, flew so that he could get a bunch of people into the cone for the heavenly destruction and did a ton of damage at first. So we got a huge hit off, and then from there, Elixion spent the rest of his turns trying to fly around and avoid Chozen at all costs. So he's flying all over the map. Chozen packs a pretty good punch, our barbarian. So dodging and weaving, spent a bunch of his legendary actions trying to pin Chozen down so that he wouldn't, using the Celestial Chain's legendary action, trying just to pin Chozen down so that he couldn't continue to chase. Lots of Radiant Spears were thrown. Lots of decent damage was done to the party. I will say that after about halfway through this, Chozen was really the only one who wasn't going for persuasion checks to try and convince Elixion that everything's okay. And my party did a really good job role-playing this during the entire fight. Eventually, though, my party was able to slay Elixion's second form. A lot of the damage was dealt through persuasion checks. They ran through all the opportunities that they had earned to use advantage and continue to try and persuade Elixion. Well, eventually, Elixion's angelic form is defeated and outrises the old, kind of sad form of Elixion. He doesn't do a ton of damage in this stage. It's mostly just him whining and complaining, and he has a legendary action where a ruidium shard explodes and can have a player take a level of exhaustion, and this was pretty potent to Trixie in particular. I think he got everybody with a level of exhaustion, but Trixie went all the way to the 4th level and was getting pretty close to death there at the end. None of my party members actually went down, I don't think. We had some that a lot of healing was done, but I don't think anybody actually went down. And in this point, stage 3, everybody was using their action to try and persuade Elixion to be redeemed, essentially. That is until he was able to hit Dmitri with his ruidium spear, or ruidium dagger, which petrified Dmitri. At that point, Chozen was pretty upset. Full-fledged attacks. So after, I think, 2 rounds of full-fledged attacks from Chozen, summons the dagger from Dmitri and tries to stab Chozen and petrify Chozen instead. It didn't end up working. He was actually transformed or redeemed shortly after that. So one thing I did change is instead of 3 successes at this one, I had my party do 5 successes, and I feel like in order to prolong the battle a little bit, my party really got into things at this stage. They were using things that they had found in the Netherdeep. Jimmy used the rocking horse that they found in his childhood memory. Trixie was using the spear that they had found, and they were using all these memories and things that they had found about Elixion to try and convince him that he was good and that there is good in the world and that there's a chance for him in the future. Eventually they convince him to be redeemed and all is well. Because my party had not seen all of the visions from the Apotheon lore table, we knocked out the last 4 or 5 of them that they hadn't seen. So he says, I have a few more things that I want to show you, and he shows them the vision, and then I have them transported into Kael Marl. In the book, it has you try and escape the Netherdeep. I just kind of hand waved it and said that they got to the end, because what's the point? At that point, they've got Elixion, just head on out. After they get into Kael Marl, I really just said, all right, guys, what do you want to do? And they said, well, we're in Kael Marl. Let's go stop by Olera and have drinks. So they head over to Olera, and they have drinks. They introduce her to Elixion. They find out that Olera's memories are all back. They also notice that any ruidium corruption that they have is gone. All their ruidium items are no longer corrupted by ruidium. And they have drinks with Olera late into the night. And the next day, they go and visit the Cobalt Soul. And to tell Jamil what has happened, he's ecstatic, and he gives them their gold reward, 2,000 gold pieces apiece. And they are all very excited about that. Then they go and find their friends, and their friends have all been cured of ruidium as well. Basically, they get an understanding that ruidium has been removed from the earth. So Alexian decides that he is going to basically just kind of hang out in Ank'Harel and lay low. He's done being the hero. He just wants to have a normal life for the remainder of his days. Iris, this entire time, has had a huge crush on Alexian, so she at some point tries to convince him to hang out with her and basically start a relationship, and she rolled really, really poor. And he's also like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times her age, so it worked out okay. At this point, I just looked up at my players and said, all right, that's the end of the adventure. Let's go around the table and we'll talk about what your character chooses to do and ride off into the sunset. So Trixie was the first one to volunteer, and she basically, what she did is she took her gold, went to the tinkering shop, and worked with our good gnome friend and was able to make some ways to improve Rusty. And then after some time, she decided she wanted to pick up adventuring again and went and found the Crimson Company and joined up with them to continue adventuring, and off into the sunset she went. Chozen was next, and he and Iris decided that they were going to ditch the tournament finale with a group. They pooled their money together, they went and bought a ship, and they decided that they were going to become pirates. So Chozen and Iris basically ditched the rest of the party, never to be seen again, and off sailing the seas, probably using Iris's new patron, the dragon turtle, to their advantage, and plundering and pillaging as they went. So that was kind of fun. Iris, before she took off though, because she was rejected by Alexian, she kind of went on a smear campaign and put posters all around the world, just basically saying bad things about Alexian. She earlier in the campaign had put posters around just kind of like getting people to know him, because she was tired of people saying, I've never heard of him before. But she decided she's going to do a smear campaign and then go be a pirate. Dmitri decided that he was going to join the Scar Bearers, which is the mercenary group in Ank'Harel, who's kind of over the Bowl of Judgment. So he was offered that a few sessions ago and decided that would be a fun idea. So went and has basically just been taking up any jobs that are fighting for the good of the world and of the city, and every now and then we'll go and visit Jimmy, who is still in Ank'Harel. So Jimmy was a little bit sad that all his friends left him, but took his money and went to the orphanage that we set up a few sessions ago as well, and used his money to make that place shine. So he has a couple thousand gold and really made it. He spent all of his money on the kids and gets visits from his friends every now and then, and off into the sunset he goes, just making that a better place. He also has indicted everyone, including Alexian, into the Nature Runners, which is his little like Boy Scout troop kind of. Alexian from time to time stops by and visits Jimmy and just kind of chats with him as well. And that is pretty much it for the entire campaign. I really, really, really enjoyed running this all the way through to the end. There was no part of it that I didn't enjoy. That cannot be said for other campaigns that I have run, but I did really enjoy this. I highly recommend this adventure, and we'll probably have a video coming out here shortly where I talk about the pros and cons and go through some DM tips for the entire campaign. But it's crazy to think that it's over. We started this journey a little over a year ago, and it's come to an end, but we've got another adventure geared up with pretty much the same players. Oh, we've got a new one because one of our players, Chozen, has decided to move away from us, which is a good opportunity for him and his family, so it's something fun. But kind of sad to see the end of the adventure, but also exciting to see what we've got coming in the future. Thank you all for sticking around through all of this. I do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, and a huge shout out to my patrons. We'll catch you all in the next adventure.